for staying with us. So for a while now, the issues of xenophobic attacks on foreigners, especially in South Africa, have been on our lips. However, today we're going to be looking at another angle, which is the treatment of Africans, especially Nigerians in the diaspora. Report has it that many of our people, Nigerians, get the worst treatment, especially at airports, and are particularly set aside for extra checking. When corruption is mentioned, they do not think twice, but think Nigeria.
Well, I think each and every one of us has had one or two different experiences. But again, it's how we manage the situation and also the follow-up afterwards, because it's about the perception. It's how you are viewed at home and how you also present yourself. Because, of course, there's still so many Nigerians that still get past the airports and various countries without hitches. So the major thing is that we have, over time, over the years, been branded a very bad name. And, you know, the easiest way to kill a dog is to brand it a bad name. And anywhere it passes, people will definitely trust us at it. So what has happened in the case of us that I think our management, you know, image, because everything about life is about image. So if you bastardize your image, don't expect any other person to rebrand it. You get? And that has, over the years, rubbed on all of us as a Nigerian. And do not forget that it's not about the tribal, you get, or where you're coming from. But once you're a Nigerian with a green passport, you're looked, you know, with a second thought. Is
there anything you do together to put the Nigerian diasporas together where you fight these type of perception issues we have?
Okay, Center for Protection of Nigerians in Diaspora came on board as an advocacy because the biggest challenge we have as a nation is ill-informed individuals. Okay. And we're of the opinion that if people are, you know, well-informed of who they are, their rights, even when you travel, even when you commit minor offenses, that you still have, you know, certain rights as a Nigerian. And it is onerous on us as a government to also reply and respond to its citizens whenever its citizens, you know, are found on the wrong side. You don't throw the bat with the baby, you understand? So a lot of these things over the years has happened unchecked because we, the people, have not consistently demanded for what is ours.
Okay. There are two sides to the same coin. Okay. We have an issue of foreign nationals treating Nigerians bad. And we have an issue of Nigerians treating Nigerians bad. And this happens in the embassies across the countries. We have Germany, we have several countries where the Nigerians working in the embassies make it unbearable and stressful for the citizens, their citizens in those countries to get access to what they need to, their papers, get signed into immigrations, renew their passports, coming back to Nigeria. So it's not just the foreigners now treating Nigerians bad, but Nigerians as well. We had a video a couple of months back where most of them were complaining at the embassies that they had to go and come back and pay bribes to get and renew their passport. So what do you do in that case where it's the people that are treating their people bad outside the country?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for this question, because actually what we've, as a center, have started doing is to start to reach out to Nigerians. So at the beginning of this whole struggle, which is just barely a few months ago, initial things we encountered were these stories are coming up. And for, you know, many of us have actually experienced this. But amongst the bad eggs, you still have the good recommendations. I don't think I've had this largely in Canada, and then a few other, you know, countries where this is minimal. But I would say a Nigerian is a Nigerian. We have few bad eggs. And those few bad eggs continue to rub on us. So they always take advantage of the situations. You have the events that happened in UK where a Nigerian who got tired of going to the embassy to pick up his passport, and at the end of it all had to, you know, go and vandalize the property. So if you're treated unjustly, if for any reason you've been treated unjustly, if you've been duped in the past, because we've had so many terrible stories, and we're compiling these things. It's really bitter.
So you can help them?
Yeah, of course. We're coming out, and we're teaming up with well-meaning Nigerians to actually go in search and ask questions to get answers. Fantastic. So it's an assurance that definitely we will get some to the roots.
So Nigeria's already, you've addressed the fact that we brought this on ourselves, some of it. Yes. The perception we brought on ourselves because we didn't commit that crime. However, there are many, in the scope of criminality, many other countries have citizens commit crime. But somehow that hasn't tainted or devalued their passport or their nationality. as we've experienced in Nigeria, where you are set aside and searched thoroughly. It's not like they're not doing drugs in other nations. So what exactly can our government do as a policy front to give the image that we are in control of our citizens are not entirely bad and we're dealing with the bad ones? What would you suggest the foreign minister does? What would you suggest that our ambassadors do to help us project the right image, or even give Nigerians a sense of when you go there, we have your back? What do you suggest they do?
Okay, first of all, it has to do with our own preparations. In recent time, with all the various attacks, and also I want to just make it put that to Nigerians that it is not only in South Africa that Nigerians have been attacked and killed and maimed. We're also having the same thing happening in Malaysia. We're having it in China. We're having it in...
I thought those are criminals.
Until somebody has been found guilty and convicted, he's still innocent. That's by law. And so even if you're saying an individual is a criminal, let's come up with the records of what he was actually, cost. Like in the case of an individual, a Nigerian who was killed in South Africa on 29th of July, 29th of August, I meant to say, he was killed in front of his family. He was married to a South African, and the police in South Africa went and picked him up in the business where he runs. He runs actually a breakfast, like a restaurant. And then, in the course of interrogating or continued beating, he died. And, it all happened in front of the family. But again, coming back again to the question, there is a complete ignorant attitude we've played to so many things in Nigeria. And we ask ourselves, what indeed is even our foreign policy? Because until now, that we had this pressure where our Minister of Information was coming out with a press statement. The spokesperson for the president, Femi Adesina, was coming out with a statement. The Minister of Foreign Affairs was coming out with a statement. And then the general public were also putting out things. Initially, it used to go like a norm that things will happen and nobody cares about it. Okay, I'll give you an instance. I'll come back to it.
Yeah, because even this last one, it was because of the reaction of the Nigerians in Nigeria that we had government start checking and... Yeah.
I would even say it is...
It's been happening for a couple of years.
Yeah, I would even say it's the reaction from the international community that actually provoked the need to say, let's even look at it. Because look at the responses we're getting in terms of the time of reaction. Okay, for instance, let's go back a bit. Let's drift a bit. On June 13th, a lady, late Mrs. Ndubisi Chugu, went for a conference in South Africa and was murdered. Now, it came to the fore because the family decided to push the matter. And because of the international community, we're also interested. But do you know that immediately after that death, we have recorded over 10 Nigerians. In fact, a Nigerian was shot dead yesterday.
Wow.
That's how the numbers go increasing. On the alleged that is a robbery gone wrong. You get? But these things continue to happen in a soil that does not answer to us.
Yeah, so what could we do?
No. Initially people would call and say, oh, government should do something, government should do something. No, people are now coming out and say, government, use these various instruments. For instance, when we heard that Nigeria was recalling its ambassador to South Africa, it was an excitement. Everybody went out, completely praising the president, praising the ministries for the interventions. As we speak now, the ambassador is not back.
This orientation that we're talking about, I don't you think, first of all, we should first orientate
ourselves, yes.
That's number one. But we need to orientate governments too. Because you see, it's a matter of teacher don't teach me nonsense. No. If I as a citizen, and she is a government official, and I see she has money, from nowhere I can't see the source of the income. I just see that she has money every time. I'll be looking. Then I will want to be like her, and then I will go and do some fraud or I cyber. That is, I'm following my teacher.
Please stop talking about it at me, But okay, we have to go through.
So we have to orientate the government, orientate the people.
I'm crossword. They're all Nigerians.
The thing is, there are so many areas we as a nation have lost it. It's costing home that we need as a nation. First of all, I think we need to help the National Orientation Agency. It's a body that's actually there to educate and enlighten Nigerians, especially in the issue of wealth acquisitions. Today, the target-driven is that once you wake up in the morning, is money, and then you ask yourself, at the end of the day, what's the average desire of a Nigerian young man today? Car, women, house, that's all.